You are now chopping it up with the Nerd Barbershop Podcast.
Thank you.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Nerd Barbershop Podcast. I'm Tara Williams. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode and hanging out with me for a little bit. So in this episode of the podcast, we're going to talk about the WNBA. There's been a lot of talks of it recently in sports media and sports news. I kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on what's been going on in the league. And so just to kind of give a little backstory to kind of what's been happening. So last year, actually in the past 2 years, but definitely last year for sure, the women's NCAA tournament broke records. Women's college basketball broke like viewership numbers and attendance numbers, and it was insane. Like they just had this rise in popularity, and a lot of that spurred from Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn Clark was the star guard for the University of Iowa basketball team. She played, she really came into prominence last year, and then this year just kind of exploded even more. NIL deals, taking the team to like deep, national championship runs, Big Ten championships on the women's side, and just like all out, just going crazy. NIL making money, NIL deals. She's been everywhere, and so of course, with that happening, of course, the interest in the WNBA was going to tick up because, of course, she was projected to be the number 1 overall pick for months, probably for like a year out. She's probably the projected number 1 overall pick. But Caitlyn Clark she's maybe one of the calluses, but a lot of the other young women in the NCAA tournament and on the women's side of basketball have been balling. Like this rookie class for the WNBA for 2024 is very similar to almost like the 03 draft class for the NBA. Just star-studded, like a lot of really high-end prospects, because you had like Caitlyn Clark, of course, who was like projected number 1 overall. You had Cameron Brinks, who was leading shot blocker for the University of Stanford. Also a baller, Camila Cardoza, who was selected by Chicago Sky. Really was putting in work for South Carolina, and she won like most valuable player of the tournament, I think, or for like the Final Four, I think, for South Carolina. Baller. You have Angel Reese, of course, the Bayou Barbie, now Chi-Town Barbie, from LSU, who won a ring back in 2023, and just like what she does popularity wise. And you had her, you had Rashea Jackson, I think, who now plays for you, or who played for UConn, who now plays for she played for Tennessee, who now plays for like LA. Alyssa Pile, who's someone I followed a little bit when she was with Utah, just a bucket, and now she's got drafted in Minnesota. So this is like a very high-end class of talent. Like, super excited. It probably was the most watched WNBA draft like ever, probably. And of course, a lot of these women are coming off like college NIL deals. They have like money and sponsorships and stuff like that through college, and they're just popular. And of course, Caitlyn Clark was like the headliner for it, as we kind of all knew. And, the season, there's only been, I think, 8 or 9 games in the season so far. And, it's like, the game, people are saying, like, they're being too physical with it because Indiana right now, they're 2-8, 2-9 on the season. Indiana Fevers, who drafted Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn was, of course, picked number 1 overall. And she went to Indiana. And Indiana's, every home game so far, they've been sellouts. Caitlyn Clark was one of the highest selling jerseys in Fanatics history. Like now I think she's the 2nd highest selling jersey, fastest selling jersey in Fanatics history, behind Caleb Williams, who was taken 1st overall by the Chicago Bears for the NFL draft. But that's a different podcast in itself. But yeah, so it was just like the Caitlyn Clark buzz was real. Like, she's good in a Nike shoe deal, commercials. And she's been people been talking about it, and she's been like the catalyst for this. And ticket sales have gone up because when she's in town, ticket sales are like to a premium, and they've actually thought about like changing some venues now, like moving some games to bigger venues so they can sell more tickets. So because the interest in women basketball has gone up, and a lot of people, and Caitlyn Clark is a big part of that. A lot of people like she's the sole reason. I ain't gonna say all that because I think that's really disrespectful to a lot of the other women, and I'm gonna get into that part in a second. And so, with the Caitlyn Clark, ascension, there's been, she got to the league. She's had some hard fouls and stuff like that, but it's physical. It's a sport. Basketball is a physical sport. But in this most recent game, actually June 1st, Indiana played Chicago. So, Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese, they played against each other in the national championship back in 2023. Their rivalry kind of was cemented in college, like women's college basketball lore now, and now they get to play each other for the first time in the pros. So it was a very highly touted game. It was on a Saturday matinee, a 12 Eastern start, 11 a.m. Central. I'm in Chicago, so I watched it, 11 a.m. Central. It was hype. Indiana had like their red jerseys. The Sky had like their sky blue jerseys. Sold out crowd. People were there. There was no other WNBA game on that day, period. And because the NBA Finals had started yet, there was no NBA games. So this one game had all the eyes on it. It was a competitive game. Indiana won 71-70. The Sky could have won that game. They should have won that game. But, some decisions and stuff like that cost them the game in the end. It's still early in the season. They're still learning. Still like a new group of talent. And, they're still just trying to gel and get all together. Also, Camila Cardozo, who's actually been out since the first preseason game with a shoulder injury, she made her season debut. And she looked like a monster. Like, I can't wait till she gets really healthy, really ramped up. Because her and Angel Reese in the box for the Sky is going to be crazy. And so the game was like competitive throughout. It was a fun game. But there was this point in the third quarter, like after Kennedy Carter, who's a guard for the Chicago Sky, she hit a mid-range bucket. And so Indiana's getting ready to inbounds the ball. And Caitlyn Clark, is ready to receive the ball from the inbounder. And I think the inbounder gave Caitlyn Clark the ball. And Kennedy King I keep saying Kennedy King. I don't know why I want to say Kennedy King. Kennedy Carter. I don't know why I want to say that for some reason. Kennedy Carter shouldered her, just ran up to her, shouldered her. And it was weird. It was weird, very random. It was a foul. It was a common foul on the play. They named it a common foul because it was away from the play, because it was away from the ball foul. That's why Caitlyn didn't have the ball yet, because it was away from the ball foul. So she got fouled. Indiana got the one free throw, and they kept possession, and the game kind of kept going. But people kind of kept, people started talking about, it was a cheap shot, and it was everything. I thought it was, from first glance, I thought it was dirty, too, because it was just wild. I was like, why the hell did you do that? Why did you just show the checker? It was just random. It was so random. And then there's actually another view, if you see it. You could see, before Kennedy goes to Caitlyn, she looks at her, she's talking, they're talking smack or whatever, and Kennedy called her a B, and I'm like, dang, why she call her a B? That's not, you don't call people B's for no reason, that's not a thing. And so it was so everybody's like, oh, she's dirty, the Sky's dirty, blah blah blah. And shout out to Miss Melissa. Shout out to Melissa on Twitter. She was actually at the game, and she had little videos here and there throughout the game. And she actually got a video of after Indiana's possession after the foul. And you could see, the team's going back to the bench, and Coach Teresa Weatherspoon for the Sky had Kennedy, was talking to her, had her arms around her, just coaching her up and talking to her. Wasn't scolding her, but just telling her, just what was happening, just kind of coaching her up, which was nice to see. It wasn't just what's wrong with, why'd you, it was very calm. It was hey, come here, they talked it out. It was cool to see in the game. Sky ended up losing by one. That one free throw and come back to haunt the Sky. There's also a moment where Angel Reese is boxing out Caitlyn Clark, and Angel Reese just got her arms, out, trying to keep Caitlyn away, and Angel just moves her arm, and Caitlyn just flies to the right. It was a flop. It was clearly a flop. It's she just flew to the right. And people are like, oh, Angel Reese, that should have been. I was like, no, that's a flop. Caitlyn, that wasn't bad. But anyway, so this all happened. So after the game, they asked Caitlyn Clark about the incident. Caitlyn was like, hey, that wasn't a basketball play. It wasn't a basketball play, whatever. They asked Kennedy about it. Kennedy was like, I'm not talking about it. So it seemed very weird. And it was like, what? It's Kennedy's like, I'm not talking about it. And then Angel Reese wasn't even available for her press for the media after the game. So Kennedy got fined. No. Yeah, because Kennedy, they ended up looking at the foul again. Kennedy got charged from a common foul to a flagrant one. Angel got fined $1,000 for not being at her media day for her press after the game, and the Sky got fined $5,000 for the team not following media protocol because Angel wasn't there at the podium. So that'll happen in the last couple of days. Coach Witherspoon actually, so shout out to Coach Spoon. She actually talked about the incident actually yesterday in an article that I read from Yahoo Sports. And she was just like, it wasn't acceptable. Like, we can't do that. She was very like, it wasn't acceptable. She she coached her up, told her, hey, we can't do that. There's other ways to do things on the court. We can't handle things like that. So again, it's a maturity thing, and a lesson that was learned from everybody. So now let's go to all the big stuff for all the media outlets. Everyone's saying like all the women in the WNBA are jealous of Caitlyn. There's this, there's that. This guy are dirty. They're dirty players. And it's like everyone's like they're dirty and all this stuff, and it was weird. And I'm just like, okay, like it's a one-time incident. It happened, but and it just seems like a lot of people are, I don't know, like a lot of people say like it's racist against Caitlyn Clark, which is hilarious. That made me laugh. That was one of the funniest things I think I read all weekend. Like, oh, they're racist. What? No, it's a competition. It's competitive. Like, things happen on the court. You talk shit, like you get shit talked to you, and a lot of people weren't like, I don't think people were looking at this objectively. Everybody was like looking at it in a small bubble, like, oh, like the women, because I'm like saying all the women are jealous of Caitlyn Clark. I think it's very, very, very short-sighted. Very short-sighted in my opinion. I think jealous, and everyone says, oh yeah, jealous, that's a good word. Jealousy has been a very big buzzword in the WNBA this season, and I don't think that's fair. They've all worked hard, they grind. Like, there's only so many teams. There's less teams in the WNBA in the NBA. So getting into the W is a lot harder than getting into the NBA because there's not as many spots. There's less teams. The rosters are smaller and there are less teams. So it's very hard to get into the W. And to just saying like, oh yeah, Caitlyn, they're jealous of Caitlyn Clark. It just seems so short-sighted. It seems like that's just the easy way out. We'll just say that they're jealous and we can go about our day. Here's my viral moment. Put this on Twitter, put this on X. Here's my little clip. They're jealous and we're gonna move on. And then that's why a lot of the women correspondents on ESPN and all these other outlets are like, what? So shout out to all of them. Like, Monica McNutt just went crazy on Stephen A. Smith. The time we're recording this, if you look up Monica McNutt, Stephen A. Smith, she kind of went in on him because there's other stuff you can do, and everyone's just like, and I feel like a lot of people, and I think Angel Reese said this, maybe she had said it's the best, and maybe it comes off stronger, but Angel Reese kind of said, like, because Caitlyn Clark's getting all the buzz, even though in the end it's not doing the best, even though like the team, like, her numbers are solid, but she's leading the team in turnovers and all this stuff, but there's like, oh yeah, but Caitlyn Clark, and it's like, but there's other people that are balling in the league. Like Asia Wilson, I think Asia Wilson and Arika came off of, like, they both had like 6 straight games of plus 25 points, or like Sabrina Ionescu, who was also, like, before Caitlyn Clark a few years ago, Sabrina Ionescu was like next up, and she was highly touted and everything, and they didn't quite give her. And she plays for New York, and she got drafted by the Liberty. Like, she got drafted by a big city market, and they didn't quite put the hype machine behind Sabrina as they're doing for Caitlyn. Like, and Sabrina was coming out of Oregon, like, she was up next. Like, Sabrina was a problem. It still is a problem. And she just competed in a 3-point contest against Steph Curry at the All-Star game a few months ago, which was the most hype part of the All-Star weekend. Not the dunk contest, not the 3-point shootout, not the All-Star game, but her versus Steph in 3-point contest was the hypest thing of the weekend. People tuned in to see that. I remember I had to make sure I paused it because I could watch it on Hulu. I paused it, went to the bathroom, came back because I didn't want to miss it. I wanted to see it, like, legit how it was going to go down. It was so hype. And she's dope. And she hasn't quite gotten the machine behind her. But Caitlyn Clark has. And that's why I don't think necessarily jealousy is the word. I do think some of the women feel slighted, because they've been balling, putting up numbers, doing some crazy, like, just putting in work and grinding it out. And it's like you get like a fraction. And then, Caitlyn Clark created her buzz in college. She comes to the league, and it's like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Like, what? Like, Asia Wilson, dead ass, has a statue of herself in South Carolina where she played. How many current NBA or WNBA players have statues of themselves at their alma maters? It's not that many, if any. I know one, and it's Asia Wilson, and she's been balling. Like, she's been absolutely balling. The reigning, defending, champion, MVP, WNBA Finals MVP, just collecting all the hardware. Like, been going crazy. That's why I think it's very short-sighted for people to say, like, oh, the women are jealous. Because it's like, especially the rookie class, like, people are like, oh, Angel Reese is, because Angel Reese kind of speaks out and is like, hey, there's more people showing out than just one player. Hey, there's more people showing out than one team. And people are like, oh, you're just jealous. You're just jealous. It's like, why? She's not jealous. If there's one person in the rookie class who's, like, on par with Caitlyn Clark in terms of popularity and, like, notoriety and stuff, it's Angel Reese. Like, she's at concerts. She's at the Megan Thee Stallion concert. She was at the Glorilla concert. She got, her first PEs with Reebok. She got the Barbie PEs. She was at the Met Gala. Like, she's at Fashion Week. She's doing Vogue. She has sponsorships. Like, what are y'all talking about? Like, and there's one person you can compare to in terms of being seen, and that's a word I want to use. I can't visibility. There we go. That's the word I want. In terms of, like, visibility, or she's just everywhere. It has commercials. It's Angel Reese. Like, if there's someone who's comparable to Caitlyn Clark in terms of, like, just visibility and awareness and just knowing who they are and what they're doing, and they just seem to be everywhere, like commercials and everything, it's Angel Reese. Like, she's there. Like, she hooping. Like, I remember they were talking about, like, when she went to the Met Gala, they're like, oh, should she be at the Met Gala? She's at the Met Gala a night, practice, and preseason game the next, like, preseason game and practice the next day. Like, what are y'all talking about? Like, and I feel like a lot of people, like, the Angel Reese Caitlyn Clark things happened when they played in college. And I remember when Caitlyn Clark did, like, the "You Can't See Me" to her, which I was like, oh shit, like, okay, Caitlyn, I see you got some swag. Like, all right, bet. Like, I liked it. I love that in sports. Let the players talk some shit. If it's within reason and stuff, like as long as it's not crazy, nothing disrespectful, they're just having some fun. Let them pop off, right? So she did that. And I don't know if she did that to Angel Reese, she did it to somebody else. I think it was to somebody else. And then when they played in the championship game, and they were winning, they were, like, dominating, and Angel Reese did it back, but she, like, was pointing to her ring finger, which is fair. You do this, I'm gonna do it to you, but I'm gonna add a little extra to it. That's sports. And people were like, oh, Angel Reese is a thug. Oh, Angel Reese is classless. Angel Reese is... What is wrong with y'all? Like, it's sports. They're both fine. It's nothing... It wasn't bad. They probably have, like, a mutual respect for one another. Why are y'all like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was so mad about that, because I'm like, let the girls hoop. Let the girls hoop, have fun, talk they shit. They ain't hurt nobody. Like, man, but so many people just getting their feelings on the internet, start typing bullshit and doing all this stuff. Oh my god, how can Angel Reese do that? He can't, Angel Reese is so classless. Angel Reese, she's just like, I'm like, come on, y'all. I'm like, really? And then one part about the whole Caitlyn Clark, Kennedy Carter situation that no one was really talking about was Caitlyn Clark talks shit. Like, we all know she talks shit. You could see it on the court. And one of the things that no one's really talking about is, what did Caitlyn Clark say to Kennedy Carter to make her shove her? You know what I'm saying? Like, they were probably beefing and going at, like, I was talking to my uncle the other day, or actually last night of me recording this. Like, there's stuff on the court you could say. Your shot's broke. You can't guard me. Oh, your shit trash. That's all fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with any of that. What did she say to make her call her a B and shove her? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some rules. Like, it's kind of like when KG and Melo got into it, and Carmelo wanted to see KG. Like, after the game, Carmelo went to the team bus to go talk to KG, to go talk to KG. Come on. And there came out rumors that he said his wife tastes like Cheerios. We don't know. But if he said some shit like that, you would want to go see him too. So that's what I'm saying. Like, what did Caitlyn Clark say? Because that's, talking to one of my friends, oh yeah, she can get on people's skin. I was like, yeah, but there's rules. There are rules. And there's some stuff, like, you can say. And stuff that you can't say. And stuff that's just respectable. Like, hey, don't say that. And if you say that, because, like, and we know Caitlyn Clark got money. What if she called her a broke bee? That's like when she say, "Oh, you broke, you'll never be me." Like, I'm just kind of like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Caitlyn Clark doesn't give off that energy, but on the court, It's different. When you try to get into people's heads, you try to get that advantage, you'll say whatever you can. And what if she's flaunting that money? Because when Caitlyn got into it with Kennedy, that's the second game in a row that Caitlyn Clark has gotten into it with somebody else. Because she got into it with into a nice little face-to-face with somebody from Seattle. And again, what did Caitlyn Clark say? Like, it can't just be something simple like, you can't guard me, your shot broke. Like, that's whatever. Like, that's normal trash talk. But what if she's flaunting that money? What if she's like, oh yeah, I brought the crowd here. Oh yeah, y'all couldn't do this, but here I am, I'm doing this. I'm just a rookie. I'm just saying. I don't know if that's it. Caitlyn Clark doesn't come off as that in the interviews, but you don't know. Because remember, when Chris Paul came into the league, and like early in his career, Chris Paul was like, oh man, point guard, one of the best in the league, like very likable, like Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul. When he went to the Clippers, and a little bit later on, people started to come out like, hey, Chris Paul was dirty. Chris Paul would, he'd throw a little elbow to you. He, stump on your foot. He may trip you a little bit, get you in the knee. He found little ways to get at you that the ref couldn't see. But he would do these little things. On a rebound, slap you in the leg. Maybe slap you in the groin. Kind of get you like in a good little area. And that shit came out like, Chris Paul's kind of dirty. Didn't see it, but hey, there's proof, and there's enough players that said it. So what if Caitlyn's just crossing that line a little too much with her talking? You can say like, oh man, you trash, oh you can't guard me, man. I'm hitting this shit all night. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty normal. But if she's like maybe flaunting her status and flaunting her NIL like money and flaunting this, this bravado that she's gotten through like, hey, fans are coming to see her. Hey, people are buying her jersey. Hey, ticket sales are going up because of me. If that's the case, like if she's doing that, then yeah, there's gonna be some stuff on the court. It's physical. It's a physical game, but like that's a little extra seasoning. I don't know. She doesn't come off as that. I'm gonna keep saying that she doesn't come off as that, but I'm just saying it could be there. Cause you know what, we'll never get the full story until Caitlyn Clark does a podcast, like 20 years after she retires. 20 years from now, maybe she'll do a podcast, and then she'll say, "Oh yeah, I was saying some shit my rookie year. On my rookie year, I said some shit. Like I was saying some shit. I wouldn't be surprised about that." But thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerd Barbershop Podcast. Like, share, comment, subscribe on YouTube when the podcast goes up on YouTube. Like it on Spotify. Give it a 5-star rating. Like, we're a 5-star podcast. Been doing this for a little while, Get my rating up, Give the visibility of the podcast up. But thank you. It's all, this is all volunteer. You don't have to do it. But I appreciate everyone that's listened to it. Appreciate everybody that supported the podcast. Again, this was just a fun topic that's been going on, so I figured I'd get my little 2 cents. So, hopefully I can get another one. So maybe it won't be every Wednesday. So it might be every other Wednesday. Like, if I find something newsworthy to talk about, we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you so much for believing in the vision. And I got some more stuff cooking. So just sit back and relax. Always and forever, slicing, dicing gaming. It's not just a motto, it's a lifestyle. I'll see you next podcast. Later.